Hello and welcome to our very first episode of From the North, a podcast made in the North about issues that affect the North. And it feels like there's only really one place to start, the North-South divide. In Preston, they're trying to break that cycle by giving people a home and intensive support through a project called Housing First.
This is my room.
Wow, you've got so many teddies.
I know, I'm still a little girl at heart.
Is government policy forcing people out of their homes?
I completely and utterly reject that. Now, with the new arrangements, there is no reason why anybody, particularly this cohort with their chaotic lives that need help, will be able to have any problem with getting the rent paid on time.
Major charities, Shelter, Centrepoint, they say it's not working for people who are homeless, people who are at risk of homelessness. Do you say that they're wrong?
Unfortunately, I'd like people to work with me, not against me.
Well, that Housing First project that we saw there in Preston is coming here to Liverpool and to Greater Manchester in the new year. It's backed by the government to the tune of £28 million, and it comes with some pretty big claims. They've closed the road, it causes disruption for people. Does that worry you? One of the things that Stephen said was that the apology doesn't mean anything if more people have to go through that. Are you confident that as a result of this case, changes will happen?
And I think that's a very generous approach.
The police, who are not trained as mental health nurses, end up having to deal with these issues as well.
But
there is a problem.
The local council can't solve that.
The local council on its own can't solve all these issues, but it can help.
South Ribble Borough Council has been Conservative for 20 years, so it might seem like an unusual choice for the Labour leader to visit. But for Jeremy Corbyn, this is part of a bigger campaign, and he hopes his message against police cuts will prove popular. He's been railing against the rails that are set to roll from London to the northwest for years.
"What are you hiding from?" asked Pat. "From the facts," said HS2.
Comedian John Bishop using videos like this to make the case against HS2.
"That's bonkers," said Billy.
For 7 years, this was John Bishop's family home. He bought it in 2011 and says he spent a large amount of time and money on renovations. But come over here, and this is where the train track will run, just 150 metres away, making the property both unlivable and unsellable.
I think that both of those things need to be done,
Yeah, no,
and
you're
we
right,
need to.
but
we can create. This is.
We're having a normal discussion here.
Yeah,
Why can't you just say which one would you rather we had first?
Well,
OK, all three of you, which one would you rather have first?
I'd rather have east-west.
Terry?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous that you can get
Jessica?
from London to Newcastle in 3 hours, and it takes you 3 hours to get to Newcastle now.
Jessica,
from,
if you had to
Manchester.
choose, which one would you have first?
I would choose east-west.
Welcome to Wavertree, one of the safest seats in the whole of the country. It's safe because Liverpool is Labour through and through. But today the MP here said that she was going to leave the party. Here's why.
I have become embarrassed and ashamed to remain in the Labour Party.
Just a couple of months ago, Luciana visited this cafe where the owner is a Labour supporter. If you had to choose between supporting Luciana Berger and supporting Labour, what would you choose?
Oh gosh. I suppose I would support Labour.
This is how an innocent man was confronted in his own home.
You know, I've got my boy in there. You've just barged into my house. I did not let you in.
From the get-go, they came in hot-headed.
The raid came to an end almost as suddenly as it had begun.
And they all just ran off.
Did they apologise?
No.
This is the problem for Labour, how to bridge the divide between Remain voters in Manchester and those who voted to leave in Salford. People on this side want close ties with the European Union, but over on this side, the views are very different. Why isn't Jeremy Corbyn speaking to Theresa May?
Well, I do think we should find common ground. The block at the moment to common ground is actually the Prime Minister.
But Jeremy Corbyn isn't even really trying to talk to her. You had unions going in to talk to her yesterday for the first time in years.
Well, I think we need to put this in perspective.
With less than 3 weeks to go until we're set to leave the EU, the food, chemicals and other manufacturers that have developed on this water still have absolutely no certainty about what, if anything, will happen on the 29th of March. Businesses that have grown up over decades are preparing, but no one quite knows what for. In the shadow of the shipyard, there's a new business burning bright.
I started the business from my kitchen in Wallasey.
Less than 3 years later, Drew's luxury candles are winning him customers worldwide. But after Theresa May's deal went down in flames, he says the possibility of a no-deal Brexit is already having an impact.
It's definitely scary for us as a small business. We've been hit hard by Brexit.
Well, MPs have just started on their 6th and final vote tonight. Who would be in favour of a second referendum? Just put your hand up. That's a no. That's definitely a no.
2 of our MPs have left Labour's front bench today.
They have, yes. Amid all the comings and goings that happened yesterday, there was this vote on whether Brexit should be delayed in order to have a second referendum. Jeremy Corbyn asked his MPs not to vote, but 2 of our MPs, Yvonne Fothergill, who represents Makerfield, and Justin Madders, he represents Ellesmere Port, they said, no, I am going to vote, and I'm going to vote against a second referendum. So essentially, they didn't do what their leader asked them to, and therefore they've resigned. You're going to have to hear an awful lot more of people like me talking about Brexit for quite some time to come.
OK.
You do it so well, so we don't mind. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you.